Hello and welcome back to Grim Survival. It's a grim kind of day. Today is Tuesday, the 13th or 14th? 14th? That's the 13th. I think August 13th, 2019. It is a grim day. I'm kind of bored, but here I am talking to you. So I hope you're listening. And thank you if you are. So, today I'm going to talk about situational awareness. I mentioned this in a video I posted yesterday where, of course, if you watched the video yesterday, you probably noticed that I forgot to talk about iodine and how to survive, radiation poisoning and stuff like that. But, hey, read the comments because people help. But anyway, situational awareness is the topic for today. I'm going to start by telling a story. It happened yesterday. I was sitting right here in this very same spot. Well, I was probably about 3 doors that way, but anyway, same location. And a guy tried to get into my truck because he thought it was his truck. Situational awareness. He was literally walking, and I seen him coming. I've seen him from a while off because I actually do pay attention, except for when I'm recording videos. But every now and then I still pay attention then too. But anyway, the guy was walking from a ways off, and I seen him coming, and he was looking at his phone the entire time. And he looked down at his phone the entire time he was walking until he walked up to my truck and tried to open the door, which was locked, and he couldn't do it. And then he looked around and realized that he was not even standing in the right spot. He was like two spaces away from where his truck was in that direction. So yeah, it's just situational awareness. Another thing I would like to say about situational awareness is another story I have for you is I was sitting at a stoplight. This was probably about 2 months ago. I was sitting at a stoplight at a four-way intersection. There was a very small car in front of me. Well, every car is small when you're sitting in a truck like this, but it was a small car. It was in front of me. On top of his car, I noticed he had a tablet. I noticed when I approached his car, because I actually got on my truck to go hand him his tablet. I picked it up off of the roof of his car. His window was down about that much. I was standing next to his window for at least 5 seconds before I bothered to say anything, and he was staring at his phone, and I was literally standing right next to his car at a stoplight where I should not have been, outside of a vehicle, standing next to his, and said hey to him. But before I said that, I mean, he was just absolutely oblivious that I was there. His window was down, his door was unlocked, because I noticed that, because that's the kind of car he had. It had one of the things, that's on the door, and I could see it. And yeah, I mean, I'm standing next to the guy's vehicle, doors unlocked, windows down, and, I know I'm not a psycho. You don't know I'm not a psycho. He didn't know I'm not a psycho, but I know I'm not. So I could have been, and I could have done whatever I wanted to do at that particular moment. If I was a carjacker, I would have had me a nice car and a tablet. If I was a thief, I would have just had a nice tablet and went back to my truck and nobody would have noticed it. I would have had a nice Galaxy Tab A is what it was, and I believe those things run between, $200 somewhere right in there, or going up from there. It's been a while since I looked at tablets, but still. Point of the matter is situational awareness. He was completely unaware that I was there. Stoplights, especially in bad areas. In bad areas, people tend to get more situational awareness, but when you're at a normal everyday intersection that you are at every day, you do not even think to look at the people next to you, the people around you. You don't know the car behind you. If you're not paying attention, that's a lack of situational awareness. In traffic, situational awareness is an extremely important thing, especially for someone like me driving a truck like this. This thing weighs 70,000 pounds, sometimes more. On an average day, it's 70,000 pounds. Today I was at 69,500 or something like that when I pulled on the scale. 69,000 pounds does not stop. It does not stop. At 55 miles per hour in a fully loaded semi-truck, it takes me 300 yards to stop. That's 3 full football fields to stop this truck. And people cut in front of me and leave about that much space on a daily basis because they're just not aware. I wouldn't say that they're stupid, just ignorant of the fact that they are that far from the end of their life. Because if something happens in front of them and they have to stop, I can't. So my options, and I've been put in this situation before. My options are to go left, and typically I'm in the right lane, so left is where traffic is. If there's somebody next to me and I go left, I'm running them over, and they probably will not survive an impact with the side of my trailer, because my back tires, all 8 of them, are going to run, and that's just on one side. All 8 of them on the left side are going to run over their car. If it's a small car, it will go up underneath the trailer, and nobody in that car will survive. If you do survive, God saved you. That is the only logical explanation, because there is no other one. And it does happen. People have survived, but it's rare. That being said, traffic situational awareness is extremely important. Extremely important. But, everybody does it. Everybody does it. Everybody looks down when they're supposed to be looking up. They have a phone in their hand or they're checking a message. I'm not a hypocrite. I have done it myself. It's just a natural habit. You hear that tone of whatever tone you have for whatever messages, whether it's Facebook or text messages, whatever. You hear it and it's just an instinct. You immediately look at your phone. For me, I'm sitting in my truck. I'm actually sitting normal in my seat, facing this way. My phone is literally right here. I can see it from peripheral vision. I can see it. So if I get a message, even if I don't hear it, I still know I have a message because this is one of those Samsung phones that has that screen that's always on, and yeah, it flashes colors at you and all kinds of stupid things to tell you that you have a message, because they don't care if you're driving 90 miles an hour down the road while you're looking at your phone. They just want you to buy their phone. So yeah. Anyway, point of the matter is, situational awareness in traffic is probably about the most important thing you could ever have on a day-to-day basis. In an SHTF scenario, situational awareness is going to save your life minute by minute. It really will. I mean, in any kind of scenario, especially, there's a lot of books and movies and things like that on SHTF type scenarios that I've watched. Franklin Horton's one of my favorite authors on the subject. But just imagine a SHTF scenario, whichever one you want to put out there, just imagine that, and you need to get home or get to some place where there's supplies and you have to cross a bridge. Are you going to cross the bridge looking at your feet and not even paying attention to what's around you? Are you going to be looking under that bridge before you go across it? You're going to be looking at both sides. You're going to have maybe somebody with you. You're going to have them looking this way and that way. You're basically going, the saying goes, you're going to have your head on a swivel. So situational awareness in that aspect is extremely important. If you do not have situational awareness and excuse me for stumbling with the words here, but if you don't have it in an SHTF scenario, you have a very low survival chance. I mean, in any kind of a survival situation, whether you're walking through the woods, lost, in that type of survival situation, situational awareness is extremely important. If you're not watching where you're stepping, you could sprain your ankle, break your leg, break your arm, and then you're not walking out of the woods, then you're going to die in it. So, situational awareness, if you don't have it, I mean, you can develop it. There are things you can do to develop situational awareness. One of the things I do with my children, anytime we go to a grocery store where we have to wait on their mother to go in because I don't want to go in, or she doesn't want to take them in, or she's just grabbing one or two things. Whatever the situation. If we're in a parking lot, kids are in the back seat, or maybe one of them moves up to the front seat when the wife gets off, whatever the situation, I play a little game with them. It works really well on young kids. The game is simple. Look at me. Don't take your eyes off of me, and tell me the color of the car that is next to you. They couldn't at first. Not a single one of them could ever answer that question. Not one. They can now. Situational awareness can be developed with practice. You practice everywhere you go. Try to pick out a certain thing that you will look for, just to start practicing initially. Look for, the easiest thing to do, I guess, is a bulge. If you see a bulge on somebody's hip, they have a gun under there. 9 times out of 10. I mean, it's rare for people to carry phones on a holster anymore on their belt, but some people still do. They're usually older people, but they still do. 9 times out of 10, a bulge on the hip, especially around the right hand, most people are right-handed, that's a gun. So try to spot things like that, or just, pay attention to people around you. Try to get a feel for what they're doing. Most of them are just looking at their phones, but there's always one in every crowd that is not looking at their phone. They're always looking around. If you ever go to Walmart and you see that guy who's wandering around pushing a cart that has one thing in it and he's looking at everybody, that's security, loss prevention. It is. Trust me, it is. He's not shopping. He's watching you. Well, at least he thinks he is. Anyway, situational awareness. If you can notice small things like that, you're well on your way to developing the skill. Anybody in the military has situational awareness. It's a necessity. When you are dumped into a high-risk situation, it kind of just happens. You start paying attention. You don't allow distractions. I mean, most situational awareness problems come when people allow distractions, like your phone or your child nagging your ear off next to you. Whatever it is, it's a distraction. If you do not allow the distraction, then you can pay more close attention to what's around you. Now, I don't mean to be like the tactical nut job who's, scoping everybody out. Oh my God, what's he doing? Don't be crazy about it. Just glance around, look around. I mean, people are not going to pay attention to you because most people do not have any kind of situational awareness or have any desire to have it. So people are just not going to pay attention to you anyway. So if you're walking around like a crazy person, they're probably not going to notice unless you're like being loud and drawing attention to yourself. So be incognito, basically. Look around. Gray man, basically. Just pay attention to what's around you, what's going on, especially in traffic. You have to know if there's a car coming up next to you. You have to know if there's a car behind you. You have to know if there's a car there. If you don't know that there's a car there and he puts his turn signal on, he doesn't know you're there because he's too busy looking at his phone. He merged into you, pushed your car into traffic that way. If you're on a 2-lane highway, you went that way into oncoming traffic. A truck like mine just crunched your car into a pancake and you died. That happens. It happens every single day in this life. Every day in this country, every day, everywhere you go. Every single day it happens. Because somebody wasn't paying attention, they either killed themselves or killed somebody else. Situational awareness. It is extremely important. So, there are lots of different things you can do online to develop the skill. There's lots of suggestions. You can play little games with your kids, like I said. That helps not only them, it helps you. You can play games in your own head. You can play games with other people. Just work on it. Look it up. There are lots of different resources on how to develop the skill. So try. It is extremely, extremely important. I cannot tell you how important it is. It saves lives to know what's going on around you. If you're sitting at a stoplight that you sit at every single day, let's say you sit at it twice a day because you pass it on your way to work and on your way back from work. Stop at that stoplight on your way to work, look around, pay attention to everybody who's around you, who's on their phone, try to memorize maybe the license plate number of the car in front of you. That's a good one. But remember one thing about that intersection that you didn't realize. Remember, maybe there's a flower growing next to it. Maybe there's a piece of trash right there that could be seen from either side. Try to remember that, and when you come back through there, look for that one thing to see if you remembered it, if you remember it all. If you don't, you will remember the next day when you see it again, when you're sitting on the same side in the morning. And you'll realize that, oops, you messed up. I've done it. Don't think I'm just talking out of my you-know-what. I've done it. So situational awareness is not a skill I've always had. I have developed it. It is a necessity in my line of work. It is a necessity. You have to have it to do what I do. Otherwise, you're going to die, and somebody else is going to come with you. And it's not going to be a good situation for you, your family, for them, or their family. So remember, situational awareness won't just save your life. It might save the life of the kid in front of you or next to you when you're in a car. So that's it for today. I have to go. I'm running a little late today. CrossFit almost tried to kill me this morning. And that's about as grim as I'm going to be. So remember, survival's grim. Have a good one.